Hello.
Hello.
We want to start right off the bat with a little preamble/disclaimer. This is a podcast about recovery, ran by two comedians in recovery. That's it. Everything we say is based on our personal recovery journey.
And no matter where you are in your personal recovery journey, whether you're actively engaging in your addiction or 4 years in, you are welcome to listen.
But that being said, we're not trained to handle a crisis. We're not trained to handle anything, honestly.
If you can't tell, this podcast is pretty hard to manage for us.
But if you are in a crisis, check out the show notes for some trusted resources that may help you and keep fighting the good fight.
Axios.
And now for the show.
Functioning.
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 Examples of functioning. Navigational sensors aren't functioning. Glad to see you still fully functioning.
I could do that everywhere. Oh, but this is the other thing. In his details, like he'll detail and say, I want it 12 point, double spaced, and list, these are your sources, list them in this specific way. And then in the middle of the details, he'll say, oh, and use mouse as an example as one of your sentences. Like use giraffe. Last week it was like use a zebra to explain what atypical data looks like.
That's like a writing exercise. We used to have to do that when I was getting my degree.
I know, but this is the stuff that you have a problem with. Like, I have to limit this stuff to 8 sentences, and I have to use your example that you've hidden in the homework details.
College is hard.
This isn't college. This is like, I'm in kindergarten.
Yeah, that's mostly what college is.
This is dumb. I want to go and tell him, I don't know, just try harder. Like be present for this.
I think you're finally at that point in college where you realize that it's a huge scam.
It is. It's all secular nonsense. It's all philosophy. It's all materialistic philosophy, and I'm losing my mind.
Secular nonsense.
It is.
Okay, let's get to the podcast.
Everybody's a communist.
Speaking of secular communist nonsense, well, first let's introduce ourselves.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jody. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a writer. I'm a person who enjoys a good sit, especially when I'm peeing. I'm a lover of the arts, and I'm a practitioner of jiu-jitsu, and I'm a vegetarian, and I'm a redhead, even though I'm losing my red hair. Not like I'm losing my hair, but my hair's turning less red every day. I'm aging. I'm an artist. I'm a podcaster. I'm the owner of several coconut juices.
Is this a writing exercise? What are you doing?
I'm someone who doesn't like to be interrupted. I'm someone who's trying to finish identifying all the things that make up for a person. I'm a silly goose. I'm more than a silly goose. I contain multitudes of geese. I'm more than an alcoholic. What about you, Jason? Jason, what about you, Thomas? I don't know why I said that.
Hello, I'm Jason. And I'm an alcoholic. And what was that? What is all that about?
You're an alcoholic. I'm
having an existential crisis. That's who I am. I'm Jason, and I'm an existential ephemeral being.
You are an existential crisis? As in you will bring the thought of death to those around you?
Cosmically, yes.
Okay. Well, the reason I did that was because today we are going to be talking about all the different programs for sobriety, specifically the AAAs. the American Association of Automotives. No, the which if you don't have that, dude, if you have a car, get AAA.
I live in the
That's,
desert. I have AAA.
okay, yeah, you man, that thing has saved my life
Yeah,
countless times.
me too.
But no, we're talking about AA alternatives. AA alternatives. Meow, 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 meow. Like like you know, like alternatives to Alcoholic Anonymous. I think when people think about sobriety, and this happens to me all the time, people find out that I'm sober and they're like, "Oh, do you go to meetings?"
And they
And
say it like that. They say it like you're dying.
yes, yeah. Yeah, and then they're like, and then it's usually like, yeah, they have some story where like, yeah, my uncle got a DUI and then they made him go to meetings and he's been going to meetings for 25 years. And I
Oh.
think that's why AA is the biggest one, is because it's been around the longest. And honestly, for somehow they have gotten into every local government's little ear that's where they should send people. So like usually the thing that makes people stop drinking is the law. Uh, it's hard to come to those terms unless you were like in prison or jail for quite some time, and that's when you like, oh, maybe I have hit rock bottom,
Maybe
and then
it is my fault, not everybody else's.
so it grew from that, right? And so now it is like when people hear sobriety, they think AA. And when they think AA, they think that, hi, I'm Jody, I'm an alcoholic, and then the group goes, do it.
Oh, hi, Jody.
Hi, thank you. And but
You know
it's
what no one thinks about though when AA comes up? They don't think about Gnosticism, which they should, because Bill W. was a Gnostic as a Jungian follower, because Jung was a Gnostic.
okay. Let's get to this in a second.
Anyway,
Oh man, that secular nonsense comment just really threw you off into the deep end. So, but yeah, okay. So there's more recovery support networks out there. Um, some of them are religious, some of them are not. Some of them follow a similar model of the 12-step program, and some of them have their own programs. And today we're going to talk about a few. But first, I want to talk about AA in general. I think it's important that people know, like you were talking about Bill W. Um, so AA was founded in 1935 in the Mississippi of the Midwest, Ohio. And it was founded by this dude named Bill Wilson, Bill W. Usually, like, there's this, like, when people are so, back in the day, when you go up to the bar, you used to say, I'm a friend of Bill's. And it was like a secret language to tell the bartender that you're sober. And then he would, like, make you, like, a soda water or some shit. And this other guy named Dr. Bob Smith. Um, and it's rooted in the Oxford group, which was a Christian movement at the time. Eventually, they published in 1939 the Big Blue Book that everyone's got everywhere, that every grizzled motorcycle rider has handed me every fucking AA meeting I've been to. And it breaks down the 12-step program to recovery, which I don't want to get into because
you don't want
it's
to go through all 12
all
steps.
12 steps. No, been there, done that. No, I mean, unless you do, I don't have them in front of me. I was like, I don't know.
Well,
So
I got Russell Brand's recovery book, so I can go through them.
you should probably throw that out.
Yeah, I didn't make it through the whole thing.
Well, also because of all the allegations. But you didn't hear about the allegations in Russell Brand. There's a lot of allegations in this podcast, so let's not focus on Russell Brand today because we got some other allegations coming up too. Uh,
Man, it's the Allegations AA.
Allegations Anonymous.
Allegations Anonymous.
They wished it was anonymous. So their core philosophy of AA is that recovery is only possible through surrender to a big capital letters higher power and followed a structured 12-step program that includes making amends, self inventory, and helping others to achieve sobriety. I think it's like, I, okay, I know that we've already talked some shit about AA so far, but I've seen it work for people. Some people, they're like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the program. Uh,
Right.
and I think it's because of its accessibility. I mean, there's an AA meeting right now. Like it's like that phrase, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. There's an AA meeting like within spitting distance of anywhere that you're standing.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
like if you are a comic in New York and you want to get if you want to go to an open mic, there is one happening right now, except it's AA and it's everywhere else.
exactly, exactly. There's tons of church basements all over the country for people to go to an AA meeting. Um, it's it's really peer supported, so it's like you know the first thing you lose when you get sober is your community because you're not going to the bar. So it
Right.
does really lean into community, and then there's like a sort of inherent mentorship program that is kind of instilled, which is you know it has its benefits and its not so great benefits. Um, and it also provides like a lot of routine and structure for people. Like, oh shit, I feel like drinking. I'm gonna go to a meeting. Like, oh shit, I'm sad. I'm gonna go to a meeting. I'm gonna do my 12 steps. They have all those rhymes or like whatever you want to call them, sayings. It works if you work it.
Oh,
Um,
axioms?
Axioms. Yes, thank you, thank you. Um, Here are some problems that it does why it doesn't work for everybody. There's a lot of religious and spiritual language, like the higher power thing, which is the first step. Submit yourself to a higher power. No, isn't the first step is admit that you're powerless. The second one is to yeah. And so that whole like framing device of admitting that you're powerless is frankly disempowering. And the last thing that you need when you're feeling like shit already because you've just dumped all your dopamine out is feeling powerless. Um, and then there's
Uh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that does feel I haven't thought about that specific element before. And like, oh, that feels a little bit cult like. Where you like if you if you come to somebody and your dopamine has been just absolutely fried for the past, decades or whatever, and now it's completely gone and you don't have access to it, then you would almost be in kind of a fugue state where you just go, whatever, whatever I need to do.
yes, yes.
I just
I recognized this when I first got sober 6 years ago. I went to a bunch of AA meetings, and I was like feeling like shit,
yeah.
and everyone just it was. I thought it was so strange because it was always in these like dingy old basements, and then a bunch of guys would tell me that uh, it wasn't my fault, and that I should admit that I'm powerless, and that I should give my power to a higher power. And I was like, isn't this like isn't this like how they get Scientologists? Like, don't they just like lock them into a dingy basement and then like tell them that they're shit? Uh,
Well, you
they,
tell them all your secrets.
yeah, yes. So it felt I was like, this seems very programmy, like they're in the sense that they're trying to program me. Um,
Hmm.
and so that's some of the cultural critiques too, which is the next section I was going to get into, is that
Okay.
it's like it feels very culty. The anonymity of it, the rigidity of it. There's like a lot of extremist. I've met people in the program who don't even take ibuprofen, and
Like
like
Jehovah's Witness
yeah, basically.
or Christian
Um,
Science.
and it's the
Hmm.
the spirituality aspect of it is weird.
Secular nonsense.
Is weird. There's a lot of like we're not. religious, but you have to submit to a higher power part. I think that honestly, as someone, as a queer person, that like, it's not, to me, I've never really felt safe in an AA room to express myself, because it's a lot, there is a strong rigidity to the binary. And and like I felt that it wasn't, um like everyone was like policing each other. um and so it wasn't really like open to like neurodiverse kind of people. Like if you like everyone was sort of like, especially when you're new, there's like aspects of being a threat, especially as a male bodied person. And I've also heard that from like female bodied people, that there's an aspect that they're being preyed upon, like fresh meat. Like it's fucking weird.
What's
um,
isn't the 13th rule something gross like
that's when
um
you're like dating someone who's in
yeah.
AA. Yeah.
Uh
Yeah.
can I let me ask real quick cuz you that was interesting. What I don't know what's the is the binary just in relation to members, or does it have anything to do with this kind of vague religiosity that's occurring?
I couldn't tell you. I sensed it a lot in the members. Uh,
That's
there's
fair.
a lot like they split by gender, like a synagogue, and they I've noticed that a lot.
Huh.
The one particular experience I had is I went to an AA meeting with a female coworker of mine, and afterwards we went and got, it was like an early morning one. We went to like a diner to get breakfast, and I was following her to sit with her group, and one of the guys like grabbed me and directed me to the guy group. Now, I don't particularly feel safe in groups of men, especially to express myself, especially when my dopamine is super low and like
Sure.
I can't mask as well. And it was um, it was like a very big wake up call as to uh, this kind of experience that I've had. I know that they have. I've tried going to the LBGTQ plus opened meetings, but it seemed to be very focused on more of the L's and the G's and not so much of the Q's, if that makes sense.
Well, if you're grounded, if your system is grounded in something that emerged in the 1930s, you know, it's hard to it's hard to break out of that. Even there's like an implicit bias toward um, this kind of dichotomy that you're describing that I think is grounded in the system just because of how it came about. You know, something that emerged in Ohio in 1936 is going to have some kind of gender bias.
For sure. I also think it's a response to just the abject horniness that people feel once they are like in their first year of sobriety. And I think that they're trying to like protect that from each other. I mean, I remember there's like a rule that you're not supposed to date anyone for the first year of your sobriety. They also have like 30 and 30 meetings in 30 days for your first 30 days. Uh, just a lot of stuff like that.
If there's anybody out there that is starting AA, I would suggest you listen to the whole don't date anybody in your first, maybe even 3 years of sobriety, because
Just don't date anybody. Dating's
just
lame.
don't be asexual forever. Because it's honestly,
Asexual people date people. No, just be a Ronin. Just be a lone wolf. Just just meditate on top of a tree and do your
I
thing.
think it would serve you better because I made a lot of mistakes like in doing that. So
I another thing that happened to me that really threw me off. I've been to so many AA meetings. So they have that grant me the things to whatever, that prayer, the prayer that grant me the
oh,
things that I can't control and control the things that I can, or whatever. Um, and they usually end the meetings with that. But I've been to so many meetings where in the same meeting they'd be like, "I just want you to know, we're not a religious group. Now let's all join hands and do the Lord's Prayer."
yeah.
And like I remember I went to when I during my first year of this sobriety, my last sobriety. I've been in and out of AA pretty much since my mid 20s, and I've had several terrible experiences with them. But this last one, I remember this guy was just the whole meeting was about trying to do mental gymnastics to validate the higher power thing. And this guy was telling us that, like, for the first year of his sobriety, the tree outside his house was the higher power. And I remember just being like, this is nuts. This is nuts. Like, first off, I don't know anything that's more powerful than myself. I am my own Messiah. I can save myself, and I am my own God. God is within all of us, right? Like, I'm not going to surrender or submit to anything right now. That's the last thing I should be doing. I need to be reframing everything. And so I know that I see your face. I see your
Well, no,
face.
I want to extend an olive branch. I want to extend an olive branch because yes, I'm Orthodox, so a lot of that stuff, like, oh, but, but I will say that, the church, the Orthodox Church, does not do proselytization because we think it's against your free will. It goes against scripture and stuff. So the idea of someone saying, to join our group, you must submit to a higher power, which can literally be anything, is in like all the alarm bells go off. Like you can't. I don't know. It seems like too much of a ask and too. Um, it feels irresponsible to tell somebody you must submit to blank in
Yeah,
order to get help from us. Like
it
that's
seems irresponsible to immediately tell someone that they're powerless against their disease and to call it a disease. I think there's a lot of irresponsibility here. Uh, and I think, but again, I don't want to shit on AA all day. I can because I've had such a terrible experience with it. For one, my first experience with AA was with a really abusive old boss that I had when I first got sober at 26, who would like basically pit my employment on if I was going to AA,
oh
and then would hire these guys who were like newly sober but like completely incompetent, and I would have to work around these guys because I was the manager of this coffee shop. And the dude would like show up at my house on my days off and take me to AA meetings without telling me. And if I remember one time I was like sniffing because I had fucking allergies. And he was like, "Are you doing cocaine?" And I was like, "Dog, I never did cocaine even when I drank. You think I can afford cocaine? I'm a barista." Like, it was just like, it was ridiculous. And he was one of the most toxic people I've ever met. So like, I just kept running into people like that. Every AA I went to, there was just some grizzled ex fucking biker dude who was just like all ripped to hell and insecure as fuck, who was just like forcing this shit down people's throats.
I've only gone to one AA meeting and I got COVID after.
That was the only AA meeting you went to?
Yeah.
Wow. I've been to so many.
Couldn't do it because I got sober during COVID, so it's not like stuff was going on, and I just never got in the habit of doing or even being interested. Because all the people that told me, "Dude, you're an alcoholic, you need help, you need to go to a meeting," were all the people that I didn't want to be like.
Yeah.
So,
That's yeah.
like, well, I'm not going to listen to you.
But like we've had people on this podcast that AA has, they swear by it. And like, I've met people who say it really helps. And I think that it really depends on who you meet. And so like, I've had a bad experience with it. Um, but I also kind of feel that a lot of the meetings are counterintuitive to growth because a lot of them feel like people are just reliving their trauma by like it's like you go and then you hear the saddest fucking story you've ever heard and then you leave and you're like, so glad I went to a meeting. I feel so much better now. And it's like there's no really any sort of reflection or resolution to this. They're just like, yeah, I killed my sister in a DUI accident. And then you're just like, well, fuck. And then they're like, don't you tell anybody. And it's like, and it's just like the same, like it's just, and then the next story's worse and the next story's worse. And so it's like, it becomes this kind of like story time hour, which is not something that I feel is like, I feel like it can help, but with if there's like an intention of a resolution or reflection at the end of it, which I don't think they end their meetings that way very well.
Right, because if you live by your story, you live by your story, right? So you're just kind of get stuck in I think I just repeated myself. I was trying to say something different. But anyway, if you just kind of perpetuate your story by naming things over and over again, on one level it's good, I think, to kind of claim your story and be kind of liberated from it by retelling it.
Yeah,
But a
we
lot of
talked about that in the
times,
last podcast. Yeah,
yeah, that
like
was it. That was it. But
narrative therapy.
you get like fixed in your story sometimes where if all you're doing is the same thing that happens with stand up. If all you're doing is retelling these traumatic things for a kind of dopamine hit, which is what stand up is, then you don't really move out of them. You kind of, in this weird way, you get kind of trapped inside them.
Yeah, it gets pretty performative really fast.
Yeah. And like you said, there's not really like resolution built in to that performativity, but really any of it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Let's not shit on AA. We should make a whole podcast called "We're Gonna Take a Dump on AA."
Well, can I say, like, before I got COVID, I had a great time at that AA meeting. Everybody was super nice. No, there was no like synagogue, the women over there, men over there. Like, we all sat in a circle together. Everybody was so much taller than I was. So it was nice. Everybody gave me their phone numbers after.
Yeah, I got that too. I remember I cried.
Yeah, it was a very emotional time. It was great. I
will say though, at the same time, I was like, I'm not going to call you.
I put in my bag, and in my head, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to reach out to any of you. But I really appreciate this. I ran a meeting group that was based on the 12 steps through a Catholic lens. So I think that there is some worth to the 12 steps themselves. I just don't have enough experience with AA itself. So I apologize if I'm offending anybody, but this is just the, limited experience that I've had.
Does a Catholic lens have stained glass in it? Moving on. You can make that face if you want. Okay, I'm going to start with my two faves. These are my two faves AA alternatives. I'm going to start with the one that I have found to be really helpful for me and for the way that I choose to live my life, and that's Recovery Dharma. So Recovery Dharma is like the Buddhist version of AA. They don't have a 12-step program, but they use Buddhist principles like the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path to kind of guide people through recovery, mindfulness, meditation, and like ethical living, which is pretty cool because just the act of meditating and these lessons are great, is pretty great for when, like, if you're fucking leaving a wake of destruction because you're following your addiction, telling people, hey, have a seat, breathe it out, think about your actions, and you're like in this sort of peaceful place. It seems to be really helpful for a lot of people. But I will say, when I was researching this, here comes the allegations. We should have a bell here. Allegations
from Dharma Recovery?
Yeah, from Dharma Recovery. This shit was crazy. So Dharma Recovery used to be called Refuge Recovery, and it was founded by this guy named Noah Levine, who was like, I don't know, like he's like a white guy. He looks like an old punk. He looks like an old AA guy, like an old punk rocker, and he he has like something called like Dharma Punks, and it's like he lives in LA, and
Yeah.
so he founded Refuge Recovery, and then um, turns out he wasn't that cool. He had some allegations, some sexual misconduct allegations towards him,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
and so there was like a big, this was in 2018, 2019, and so there was this big migration away from Refuge Recovery, because Buddhists, they do what they do best whenever they're faced with controversy. They peace out. And so they left and they formed Dharma Recovery in 2019. They got a book. It's free. It's online. It's great. Talks about mindful based recovery, inclusive. It's trauma informed. It talks about, it's not just about like putting a band-aid on sobriety. It talks about more about what's behind that. It's very peer led, which has its ups and downs, but like it's very like community focused, and like anyone can run a meeting. Like I've been going to one recently, and we've been reading Thich Nhat Hanh, never know how to say his name. And so like we just read a chapter a week, and we just go around reading, and it's kind of cool. Like it feels like, you remember, did you ever play popcorn when you were in elementary school, where like one kid had to read and then they call out the other and then they got to read? It's like that. And so it's like, it's kind of fun. And then we all meditate, and then we talk about like what we took from the reading and applied to our life for a few minutes. And then we meditate again, and then we have some announcements, and then it's over. Um, I think for some people it's a little woo woo. I get it. It is a little woo woo. They definitely have, like at the ones that I go to, they have some meetings that do like the sound bowls. And when I was there, there was a woman there who was talking about anagrams, which I'm like, oh my God. But, and then for some people, I think, meditation is just, it's hard. It's hard for people, especially in early recovery, which is kind of the point. But it's I like that it's like connected to a spirituality without there being a theist ideology behind it. Um, and that is Recovery Dharma. You went to one of these, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I liked it.
Cool story. Okay, moving on. My second favorite, Smart Recovery. Smart, all caps, recovery, only one cap, the R. Um, this one is like, it's like that secular nonsense version of AA. It's scientific based, so that uses like CBT, cognitive behavioral
Oh,
therapy,
word.
and REBT, which is relational behavioral therapy. Uh, it's weird. I know everything. It's like founded by Robert Ellis in the 50s. I know all that, but I can't fucking know. I don't know what the E stands for. Uh, this one I like. So if AA is saying you're powerless, Smart Recovery is like, actually, we're here to empower you. They promote self empowerment, behavioral changes using evidence based tools. Uh, so they have a lot of things, like they use a lot of acronyms too to help like focus on urges, and actions. They have like a whole booklet that you got to do. Um, it's pretty cool. All of the meetings are ran by trained facilitators.
Oh
Um,
man, like for some reason I just completed that sentence in my head before you concluded it, where I thought legitimately I thought you were gonna say all these meetings are run by trained kids. For some reason that like popped into my head. I'm like,
no,
wait,
that's
why are
actually
you discrediting this?
that's actually Dharma Recovery. Dharma Recovery, the trained kids version of AA. I would have to say. Um,
That's me. That's yeah. You can tell that it's trained kids running the meetings because it's a dog who is leading the meditation.
that's their higher power. Um, is a an unneutered pit bull. in
Yeah,
the
it's
middle
their
of a group.
Durkheimian totem.
So yeah, so this one's cool. I've been going to these meetings for about a month now, and I've been to a few beforehand. It's nice that the facilitators trained because they can like there's a lot of weird shit that happens in meetings, and to have someone there who's specifically trained to deal with that weird shit is great. I've definitely been in like AA meetings and other meetings where there's somebody who tells you the most horrific story, and then they're crying and everyone's just looking at them, and then they're going, okay, next up, I guess
It's
this
pretty rough when you're involved with that. Like I've gone to some Al-Anon meetings, and that's where you hear the most horrific thing you'll ever hear in your whole life. But
oh yeah,
you,
those are the people who are in the wake of destruction for sure.
yes, yes. So you like, I have watched a woman break down and basically just explain to us that she can't, like, she's just a prisoner in her own home, and we just have to like move on to me and go, my mom gets drunk sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I and like
I'm
when I
so
see
sorry,
that,
we should call the police.
when I see that, I'm like, I feel like this is out of my wheelhouse, but I feel like somebody should have skills here. I mean, it's like,
We
yeah,
trust Bubba the biker who's leading this message, this meeting, to like step in and
should
know
I
how
not?
to.
I don't know what to do, but I don't feel like moving on is the answer.
Yes, I don't feel like telling my story anymore.
Yeah, it's a hard act to follow. Uh, yeah, and so it's nice to have that. It's also very structured. So like in the smart recovery meetings, they like you open up with you say your name. One thing that I really really like about smart recovery is they don't view alcoholism or any sort of addiction as a disease. I think framing like that, it like that is incredibly dangerous. It also like um, kind of takes accountability off of the person, which is nice, I guess, but it's not true. Um, they frame it um, as a coping mechanism that isn't working for you anymore. So a
That's
leftover
yeah.
coping mechanism. They don't call um, like you don't call things like a personality disorder. They call them mood adaptations because it was a brain function that was useful at the time and is not useful anymore, which is base level CBT stuff. And they have like a whole like workbook that you can like dive into, which is great for that first year nervous fucking like sobriety fucking energies. You're like, oh yeah, I'll just do my homework. And it's not just, and it's not like a book that you have to read. Like you got the pen, you got to make lists. There's like a circle there's like a circle of values that you got to fill out. And then you got to make these graphs. It's awesome. It is some awesome secular nonsense. So it's sort of like one part group therapy, one part peer support. And then it's like recovery with homework. And then when you go back, you talk about it. So it starts with like, you say, you don't say, hi, I'm Jody, I'm an alcoholic. You start with like, hi, I'm Jody, and alcohol brings me here.
Mm.
So usually when I go, I'm like, alcohol, weed, and cigarettes and psychedelics are the reason I'm here. And then you'll usually say like, one thing you did this week that was good for your sobriety. So I'd be like, I made a podcast about AA alternatives with my good friend Tomothy, and I feel great about the information that I'm sharing.
It's Jason now, but yes.
Uh, and then they go on to the next person. You're not allowed to give advice, which is I
That's
love.
cool.
I think that's the rule of this podcast is we are not here. That's why we have the fucking preamble at the beginning. We are very against giving advice. Don't give advice. If you feel like you should be giving advice, you're a dick. It's like people who want to be a cop. If you look around the community and you say, I'm the person who should be enforcing the rules here, or anyone, not even a cop, anyone who feels like they should be enforcing rules is a jerk. So I just feel like if you're the kind of person who feels like you should be giving advice, you don't. Give resources, give suggestions. That's all you can do. And that's what they do. Tom, I see you kind of shaking your head. I get it. But I see your face.
Like,
my hypervigilance is keyed into your micro interactions. Um, but yeah, I feel like some people don't like it because it is like super academic and very clinical. I notice a lot of people who are uh, in these smart recovery meetings are usually college educated, usually like within the sciences themselves. Like a lot of guys who are like in tech, engineers, economists. Like I don't really see a lot of copywriters and like truck drivers and shit. Like
it's
I
more
mean,
like
actually,
STEM
I think
recovery.
there's a few truck drivers in mine, but like it's mostly like people who are like rooted in the sciences who want like that logical approach, and I think that kind of throws people off. A lot of them are online, so there's less of a vibe
Hmm.
sometimes. Um, it's
Yeah, I was just looking at the meetings, and it's mostly online. I
yeah,
noticed.
because it really picked up. Like when I first found out about them, when I first got sober in 2018, there was like one meeting in Chicago, the third largest city in the United States. Uh, and it was like very far from me. So I think over the pandemic it picked up because they started really like doing online meetings. They have some like hybrid meetings, um, but it's not like AA where it's they're everywhere and you can just like show up and then you're like with a bunch of people. Um, so yeah, that's smart recovery.
All right.
SMART. Next up, SOS, like that police song. You're sending out an SOS because you're drunk. You're gonna hate this because it's all about heathenism. Secular organizations for sobriety.
Oh Lord, this is. Oh no, this man.
SOS.
All right, I will refrain from saying anything.
So this one is like smart, but it's not as structured, and it's not so much rooted in CBT. It does focus on personal responsibility and tries to preach rational decision making. It was founded in the 80s um, to be like essentially a secular response to AA. And that's really all it is. It's like AA, but they don't talk about any sort of spiritual stuff. They don't have um, the 12 steps. And it's really more about like kind of um, pushing people to build their own kind of sobriety program and then using them as a support group. So I was thinking about this, and because they don't have facilitators, they don't have things to talk about, they don't have a book. It's kind of just like a bunch of people get together and then they kind of talk on a mic about what they've been up to. And so it's the open mic for recovery. It's the open mic comedy show, but it's about people. Anything goes, and nothing matters. So it's sort of a loosey goosey smart recovery.
So whose
Um,
line is it anyway? Sobriety edition.
I think even whose line. I mean, like that improv like has some structure. I think it's just like you put your name on the list, and then like you could go up there and talk about whatever, and people will have to be there and listen to you. It's just like an open mic stand up show.
It is the first day of a comedy class.
Yes, yeah. I
Jeff
mean,
Justice.
even then, still more structure than these.
All right.
There's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of them, and it kind of is like it really is just like a response to the religiosity of
Mm.
most like things, especially in the '80s. I think Smart is kind of a response to that. But now we're going to talk about the spin-off show of this.
The
So
Drew
this is
Carey show.
no, this is like if SOS is or if AA
Mm.
is the Mary Tyler Moore show,
Wow.
then SOS is the Rhoda, and this next one is the Phyllis. So
Okay.
it's a spinoff of a spinoff of a spinoff. So this you're following me. We all
Yeah,
want
no, I got you.
right?
I got you.
Okay. So this is called Life Ring Secular Recovery. which I think we have a link. We usually have a link to in our show notes. We have a link to most of these in our show notes. Actually, there's a few that I'm not going to cover in there, but
I will say I'm not embarrassed at all by saying that my education is secular nonsense at the top of the show, not knowing that this was going to be where the direction of the show was going.
I will say that that sounds like something that someone would say if they were embarrassed for saying that, and they're
No, no,
trying
no,
to kind of cover it up, and they'd be
no, no,
like,
no.
because no one's saying that you should be. I didn't even bring that up.
Well,
You
Jody,
brought it up on your own.
Jody, like yourself, I also don't like being interrupted. So what I was going to say was I just think it's very providential that I established my instead of saying who I am up top, I said what I don't like. And instead of you it's just been nice to hear everything that I don't like come up over and over and over again. It's like a synchronicity if we use the Jungian terminology.
There is one that I had on here that's like super Christian, but it's more like mega church Baptist Christian.
Do you know the name of it?
I think it was called like Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah, I went to a meeting. I went to one of those for my research.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. Was it,
It
is
was
it? I imagined it's like mega church, like guitar church, youth group kind of stuff. And when I was looking into it, I was like, no.
I remember in my paper because I wrote about Recovery Dharma was the best one that I went to, and that was why I went to that AA meeting, which I got COVID. And then this one was, even though I got COVID from the AA meeting, this one was the worst one because it was at like it was at a Methodist church, which I'm already like, ugh, guys,
What?
I don't need to hear you walk in, you go, oh, John Wesley, what are you doing here? Why is your portrait up here? And of course, you know why, but still, you
Methodists
go.
are the chillest.
I'm Orthodox. They're like,
Unitarians came from Methodists. Unitarians are
what?
the Rhoda of the Methodist Mary Tyler Moore shows.
I don't like the Unitarians.
Oh my God. We are divided.
Well, I mean, there is a Trinitarian joke in there, but I'm not gonna.
Trinitarian?
Yeah,
Unitarian. Wait, oh, what's a Trinitarian?
I'm a Trinitarian.
Oh.
Trinitarian are Christian. Unitarians are just do whatever you want. They're the firebend of religious denominations. I wish I could say that scientist's name correctly. But anyway, we celebrate recovery. I got there and immediately I saw their sign and I was like, God bless them, but this is going to be rough. And go in. I swear to God. Have you ever gone to a
Where was this?
it was in Albuquerque.
Oh, okay.
If you've ever gone to I've only gone to one megachurch.
I grew up in the land of megachurches. I've been to
Okay.
1,000 of them.
If you've gone to a megachurch, you know exactly how Celebrate Recovery works because you go in.
That's
you
why I
listen
didn't want to put it in here because I was like, this sounds like the kind of people who sing a little hymn with one hand up and not realize that they look like fucking Nazis doing it.
I was only there for research. If I was there for actual help, I would have left immediately because a person goes up, a cute girl with a guitar who's like clearly does not have a problem, but like I don't understand there was no real like limit or understanding of what everybody's issues were. Like we're just kind of in a room and we're not really sure what's going on. Then the music starts. The music goes on for longer than you would expect, longer than you would hope. And then someone comes up and they said, all right, we're working on step 4 or whatever. They give you a piece of paper. By the way, when you come in, you sign your name on like a check-in sheet. And immediately I'm like, this isn't anonymous at all.
No, I don't like that.
And so no one goes up and talks, at least in the meeting I was at, but we all write, like, they gave us a sheet to write on, like, inventory or something. I can't remember exactly. But then...
Yeah, that's an AA thing.
And then, yeah, it's all AA based. And then instead of talking about it, the girl gets back on stage and 30 more minutes of guitar and music.
Okay, in their defense, that's like how Methodists are like rooted in singing. That's like part of the whole thing.
I know, but like we get guys, it's like 8 o'clock. We gotta wrap it up. Like I'm done. We can't start with 45 minutes of music and then 30 minutes of more music with your heretical songs.
Heretical. I think it's, I don't know. When you said that it was like a hot girl with a guitar, I fully believe, and this is rooted in like my experience of like talking to a lot of people who believe in like they can do Reiki and like yoga teachers who think that they can be shamans. If you're hot
Yeah.
enough, if you're hot enough, you can do it. You can say anything, and people will show up and listen to you.
Notice though, I didn't say hot. I said cute. There
Oh,
are limits on
okay.
cute.
Oh, all right, all right.
There
Okay.
are time limits on cute girls.
That's why she had to latch on to celebrate. That's why she had the guitar. Uh, okay, Life Ring. Let's talk about
Okay, yeah,
Life
life
Ring.
ring.
Okay, okay. So this one was actually developed by a former AA guy and an SOS guy who formed together like Captain Planet in the late '90s and built this thing that is kind of interesting. It's called self-defined sobriety. So they do this like Jungian thing, like you were talking about, where you have your sober self and then you have your addict self, and they try to encourage you to build like a relationship with your sober self, and it's kind of interesting. Uh, it's like they don't really have like any sort of structure though, so there's not like a lot of it rooted in there. It's just sort of this idea of this like um, basically an internal family network, like
Mm-hmm.
trying to develop these separations from yourself while also not, I guess, I don't know. The more I read into it, I was like, that sounds like you're not accepting the entirety of your actions. But I think it's also like giving people a way to start like giving them more of a personality based in their own sobriety, which I think is important, which we talked about on this podcast.
It's mostly online.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting close to the end. We got two more left.
Okay.
This next one is not a sobriety recovery program. Yeah, that's right. I threw you a curveball. Yeah, you didn't see that coming. Uh,
Penultimate one, you throw a curveball.
one thing that I told you I forgot to tell you is that in smart recovery, like in AA, you have to be sober. In smart recovery, you don't have to be sober. They do believe in harm reduction, but they also believe that like if you're trying to get sober, you can still use these tools. Or if you're trying to just reduce things, or like get more of a grasp, you can use these tools, and that's what moderation management. That's what it's called, which sounds like a consultant group that like
It
somebody
does.
hires. Uh,
Like I just got pictures of like Christian Bale and like Boiler Room. I got Boiler Room pictures. I don't know if
okay,
you've seen
yeah,
that movie.
I just saw a lot of like gray cubicles, and they're like, here at Moderation Management, we
Yeah.
like, I just, yeah. So, yeah, it's like, it is not abstinence only. It is more about moderation. And they are really emphasizing that moderation is a viable goal, uh,
Mhm.
especially for like early stage problem drinkers. And it kind of has them reflect on like when like it kind of like instead of being like you shouldn't drink, like AA is like no, don't drink, but then they never talk about why you drink. And smart is sort of like, hey, maybe you should stop doing that, and then they talk about why you didn't drink. Dharma is more like let's chill out and have a seat, uh but like moderation management is more of like let's find why you drink, and but like and let's see if you can just like try to moderate your behavior. It's like the middle ground, which of course sounds more dharma than it is. uh
The middle path.
yeah. um I think it's pretty good for like people who are sober curious, who aren't like, because I think it's like the hardest part about getting sober is that idea, especially early on, to being like letting go of it. Like, oh, you mean I'm never gonna have like
Mm,
my favorite Negroni, or like, what if I want to have like a beer, like just a beer with the boys? Like,
yeah. What
there's
if I want to drink 12 Jaeger shots and,
well,
but just as a yearly thing?
that's the thing is like it doesn't work for it's and it says that I wrote this down, not appropriate not appropriate for severe alcohol use disorders.
Oh, well, that's okay.
uh
The only way I can think about drinking is in large quantities.
yeah, I've never, there's like a, I forgot the writer, but there's a writer that had a character that was like one's not enough and two's too many. And it's just, that's exactly what it is, because once I got one, I'm gonna have six. It's
Yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah.
I've never,
It's the
I have
door.
proven that like time and time again. I've never just had three and then went home and like watched TV. It's always been like I had three and then I went to the liquor store and then I'm like, like it just,
If I had three, I'm waiting on the person that I'm drinking with. You know what I mean? Like if I've
yeah,
reached like four, then the person is probably close, and then we're
yeah.
gonna start drinking.
So that's why if I had three, it means that I'm like trying to put on the airs that I know that I'm not, I don't have a problem. And that means
Yes.
I left, I
Yeah.
left before four because I knew that once I hit five, the airs will go down. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, guys, I was getting kind of late, and then I go to the liquor store, and then I'm up until like fucking 4 a.m. Uh, so yeah, that's if people can do that, it's great. It's not for me. I've proven that 1,000 times. I know people. I know that there are people who have been like, I was sober for 10 years. Now I have a beer here and there, and it's fine because they were able to like, you know, find out what was behind that drinking. Where for me, it's I just keep digging and it just keeps getting. I just keep finding more soil to dig through. So and I don't know what's under there yet. Uh, and then here's our last one, which I think is one of the most interesting ones. It's called Women for Sobriety. Uh,
Called what?
Women for Sobriety.
Oh, okay. I thought you said women. I was like, did you say women?
Women for Sobriety. So this one is for women,
Or sobriety.
only women. Um,
Well,
so,
speak of the binary, huh?
oh yeah, for sure, yes. Uh,
My meeting's called Men for Sobriety and Male Bodied.
and I can't go to any of those. Well, um, so this one was founded by. She actually won she won some huge award for this, but it's a woman named Jean Kirkpatrick, which kind of funny. She's got three male names. Anyways, but it came out in, and it was like it was an
That's why
AA.
she drank.
It was it was made specifically for to be an alternative to AA
Mm,
because AA, and I agree with this, is incredibly male dominated,
definitely.
and just like very much a male space. Um, and it's interesting. It was founded in 1975, which was during wave feminism. I don't know if you guys, it was wave, the one wave.
Oh yeah, that one. That
Yeah.
one.
Uh, and so I think this is like, it's like really rooted in that. And so what I find so interesting about it is that it has like a lot of these like 70s isms in there, like I feel like it's like so cool. Uh, it's recovery through positive thinking, emotional healing, and self-empowerment using the 13 new life acceptance statements.
New life.
New life acceptance statements. Yeah. So there's not a lot of them out there. They do have some like online and in person stuff, but it's all very like empowering. And so I wanted to end their podcast with the 13 new life acceptance statements and get your opinion on it.
Okay.
I have a life one. I have a life-threatening problem that once had me. I now take charge of my life and my well-being. I accept the responsibility. Love that. I'm not powerless. I love that. 2, negative thoughts destroy only myself. My
Whoa.
first conscious sober act is to reduce negativity in my life. Love it. Love it.
I'm on board,
Love
Women's
it.
for Sobriety.
Yes. Yes. This one's gonna fucking kick you in the dick. Uh, 3, happiness is a habit I am developing.
Wow.
Happiness is created, not waited for. I
Created,
got
not
chills.
waited.
I got chills reading that. I love it. 4, problems bother me only to the degree I permit.
Wow. Taking a lot of responsibility for your feelings.
I now better understand my problems and do not permit them to overwhelm me. Yeah. Yeah, I read that and I
This
was
is
like,
some like wave feminism
yeah,
for sure.
right? Yeah.
So-
This is some dick kicking empowerment. I love it. I fucking love it. 5, I am what I think. I am a capable, competent, caring, compassionate woman. That one's just great because it has alliteration.
Why didn't we start with that? We should, when we introduced ourselves, we should have just said that to each other.
I didn't want to give away the ending. 6, life can be ordinary or it can be great. Greatness is mine by a conscious effort.
Wow.
I love that. I think we talk a lot about that, like especially in early sobriety. Like the reason I drank so much is because I was so bored all the time. 7, love. This is the 70s isms. This one I think is the most like hippy dippy one. 7, love can change the course of my world. Caring becomes all important.
Yeah, this is like hands against hands across
Yeah,
America type
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. 8, the fundamental object of life is emotional and spiritual growth. Daily, I put my life into a proper order, knowing which are the priorities. Sounds cool. Sounds like inventory or like value setting.
Yeah.
9, this one I fucking love. 9, the past is gone forever. No longer am I victimized by the past. I am a new woman.
Whoa, cool.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Okay. 10. I'm trying to balance between being like, anyways.
You're finding it. I think you're striking it.
Yeah, thank you. 10. All love given returns, which like love does what love gives is love gets. Like that's like some bell hook shit right there. All love given returns. I am learning to know that I am loved. Okay, this one's good. Buckle up. Enthusiasm is a daily exercise. I treasure all moments of my new life. That one's like, okay.
Maybe I don't know. There's reorder some of those, but yeah, okay.
I am a competent 12. I am a competent woman and I have much to give life. I fucking love that. That is so empowering to tell yourself, no, I'm competent. I got this. This is what I am, and I shall know it always. That's like, the wholeness that we were talking about. And then 13, I am responsible for myself and for my actions. What? Suck it, AA. I am in charge of my mind, my thoughts, and my life.
Oh.
Yeah, it is just like accountability and also like followed by like also you're fucking awesome. Like sure, you did some shit, but that doesn't bother you anymore. I just loved it.
Yeah, it's very Julia Cameron. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
The Art of
Well, I mean,
Way type. That crunchy, like, is
that was
this?
written in the 70s too. That's why I
Yeah,
mean, it has that
did this
like
lady read the Tao Te Ching? Is that what's going on?
it has that vibe for sure. Like I she's definitely like she's like I can imagine Frankie from Grace and Frankie like saying these things.
Yeah, that reference should not have hit as hard as it did. But yeah, yeah, definitely.
I love Frankie. I'm a little Frankie myself. Yeah. So that's all we're covering today. I'm glad that we got to talk about celebrate recovery a little bit. Uh, but those,
If you're into that, don't let me stop you from going and getting, having community and stuff. It's
I doubt
celebrate
anyone who
recovery
listens
seems
to
like
this
it could be
podcast
good.
is into that. I doubt.
Okay, well, I didn't want to turn anybody off for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting that they're like, you know what AA is missing? God. It needs more God. It needs to be more God
And you
focused.
know what God's missing? Guitar music.
I don't, yeah. Maybe that's what it was. Like someone just kept bringing their guitar in, and they're like,
Guys, you just need to start your own meeting,
"That's a
okay?
different." The open mic is on Wednesdays. We're on Tuesdays. Uh, uh, but
Well,
that's
my wife has the kids today. All right. So we're doing this meeting today.
you guys are all just a bunch of heathens. My higher power can be anything, anything. Uh, all right, so those are AA alternatives. I hope you guys check them out. I hope it helps. I hope it helps this little rundown helps you find like whichever popped out to you. If you want to do AA, good on you. But I know that AA being the only option was something that stopped me from getting sober from a long time because I didn't like it. And I was like, well, what's the other option? So here are a bunch of other options, and there's more out there. Uh, and there's, I didn't talk about like, there's just other groups that focus on things of like just addiction, not just alcohol addiction. Um, like smart recoveries like that. There's people in my smart recovery who are struggling with cigarette smoking, eating, um, meth, like it runs the gamut. So, yeah, check them out and keep fighting the good fight. Thanks for listening.
Axios.
Functioning.
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 Functioning.